Hey, I'm Hunt, and this is Hunt on LSU, your channel for LSU Fighting Tiger football talk. Enjoy the video. We want you to leave a comment below, hit that like button, and subscribe right below the video. Enjoy. LSU got a huge commitment over the weekend from offensive guard Tyler Miller. He's the #1 interior offensive lineman in the nation, according to On3. He's a consensus 4-star prospect. Depending on where you look, On3 is a little bit higher on him than the other three services, but all of them have him as a top 30 interior offensive lineman in the country. He's from Laurel, Mississippi. The thought was maybe Ole Miss was going to be able to keep him home, but Brad Davis lands another elite level player. And this class looks incredible on paper. I think all of us realize that this day and age, putting too much stock into your high school signing class is probably a bit dangerous because of the nature of the transfer portal and how things tend to work out these days. But the best way I know to put an elite level championship contender on the field in college football is to recruit really well. That's the best way I know. And some schools are going to do more heavy lifting in the transfer portal. Some schools are going to do a little bit more heavy lifting from the high school perspective. We know that Ole Miss is sinking all of their resources into the transfer portal. We know that Brian Kelly has said, I want high school players. We're going to fill the roster with high school players and then plug some gaps with transfer portal guys where we need to. And I like that idea. I think the best way to go about things is to sign high school kids. I can listen to the other side where you would say, well, you're getting a proven commodity when you take a 22-year-old instead of an 18-year-old. But if I'm LSU and I've got access to the best players in the country at a high school perspective and I can get them in, develop them, that's what I'm going to try to do. With the understanding that some guys are going to leave, just the nature of the beast. But high school is the way that Brian Kelly wants to do this. And this class they're putting together is really star-studded. I'll start with Miller here and then start talking through the class a little bit. With Miller, this is the frame and the projectability that Brian Kelly has recruited to his entire career. And it's why they created a turnstile of NFL offensive linemen at Notre Dame when he was there, and why they're going to do the same thing in Baton Rouge. They're going to do it with Will Campbell and with Emory Jones. And the guys that they're bringing in fit this profile that Brian Kelly talked about literally the first press conference he took the job. He was asked about how good his offensive line recruiting and development was at Notre Dame, and he said something to the effect of, we've got a profile that we recruit to, and we stick to the profile, and that's how we do it. And the profile very clearly is long, lean offensive linemen who fill out over their time in college. There are very rarely 6'4", 365-pound offensive lineman commitments in Brian Kelly's program. Most of them look like Tyler Miller, who is listed at 6'5", 310. Lot of commitments from sub-300-pound offensive linemen in Brian Kelly's time here in Baton Rouge. He's got a profile, he recruits to it, and it works. And Tyler Miller is the next in line here. He joins a class that is #1 in the country for 2025, according to On3. Of course, the headliner is Bryce Underwood, the #1 player in the nation, 5-star quarterback. DeCorian Moore, who is committed to LSU. He's still taking visits, and there's Texas, and we'll see. But right now, committed to LSU, 5-star, #1 receiver in the country. Harlem Berry, 5-star, #1 running back in the country. Then you go to Tyler Miller, #1 interior offensive lineman in the country. So in this class, you've got the best quarterback, the best running back, the best wide receiver, the best interior offensive lineman. It's a pretty good place to start. But that's not all. Because they've got Jabari Antoine, who's, depending on where you look, the second or third top-rated player in the state of Louisiana at cornerback. You got Devin Harper, who, again, fits this model. He's 6'5", 285. From Calvary up in Shreveport, a 4-star. Keelan Moses, linebacker from right here at the Lav School. J.D. LaFleur, one of the best tight ends in America. 6'6", 230 from Sulphur, 4-star prospect. You got Charles Ross, who is a 6'2", 200-pound linebacker that runs track at an elite level in Texas. Maybe the fastest linebacker in the country. You've got Teron Francis, top 5 player in the state, wide receiver out of Edna Carr. You've got Brett Bordelon, 6'4", 280, same type deal, lean, long offensive lineman. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 commits that you've got right now, 3 of which are 5-star, and then you add Tyler Miller to this mix as the number 1 interior offensive lineman in the country. And what's happening here, in my opinion, I don't know because I'm not talking to these kids, is when you get these big name prospects committed early, that buzz starts to generate. They start to do some of the work for you. Now, look, LSU's recruiting staff doesn't need a ton of help. It's a guys with a lot of skins on the wall from a recruiting perspective. Brad Davis is an awesome recruiter and developer of talent at offensive line. But when you've got these junior days where Bryce Underwood is here and Harlem Berry is here, DeCorian Moore is here, and you see the type of players that you can spend 3 or 4 years with, it just makes the sell that much better. And so I don't expect this class to slow down at all. I think they'll continue to pull in high 4 and 5-star players because people want to play with these guys. And the big question with Brian Kelly when he was hired at LSU was like, okay, this guy clearly does great things in the Midwest. Awesome job, Cincinnati. Awesome job, Notre Dame. Won a ton of games. But can he come to the South and recruit? Well, 1, yes, is the answer. And 2, the staff he's put together can do I mean, they're just, it's a bunch of stud recruiters. Corey Raymond's been a great recruiter for 20 years. Bo Davis has been a great recruiter for 20 years. We're starting to see the chops that Joe Sloan has on the recruiting trail. Brad Davis, awesome recruiter. Blake Baker, awesome recruiter. Cortez Hankton, awesome recruiter. And again, this, to me, is the best way to go about building a championship team is to get great high school players. They're not all going to work out. I just rattled off all these number 1 players. Maybe a couple of them don't pan out or transfer after 1 year or don't sign. But if you stack enough guys together in a class, that's the quickest path to an elite football program. And you've got the advantage of most of a lot of guys being in the state of Louisiana, whether it's Harlem Berry, Jabari Antoine, Devin Harper, Keelan Moses, J.D. LaFleur, Teron Francis, Brett Bordon. These are Louisiana guys. That's where you've got an advantage there, but they're also recruiting nationally. And this is another example of that, to go into the state of Mississippi, where there's a ton of buzz around Ole Miss right now, and to go in there and recruit him to LSU is a huge win. It's not Bryce Underwood from Michigan. That's not going to happen all the time. But LSU does have a national brand. DeCorian Moore from Texas, Tyler Miller from Laurel, Mississippi. You start in the state of Louisiana, where you got all these great players and an advantage in recruiting them, and then you supplement it with the national brand. And right now, this staff is putting on a masterclass in recruiting. And we've talked to some of the industry guys, talked to Billy Embody, talked to Shea Dixon about what the odds are that LSU lands the number 1 class in the country. Don't get a trophy for that, but still a good thing to do. And the odds are pretty good that this class of 2025 is going to be the best one in America. Now you got to keep them together, get those signatures, get them into camp, and develop them. But it's a really, really good place to start. And Tyler Miller, 6'5", 310, Laurel, Mississippi, interior offensive lineman, commits to the Tigers over the weekend. And the news is that they're probably not done. There's probably going to be some more over the next couple of weeks with LSU recruiting. Recruiting season never stops, and LSU is doing a heck of a job of it right now. 11 commitments in the class of 2025. The class ranked number 1 in the nation. Hey, thanks for watching Hunt on LSU. Before you get out of here, do us a couple of favors. Hit that like button. Leave your comments below and subscribe to the channel for all your Fighting Tiger football talk. See you next time.